Well, hi, you beautiful New Zealanders. Just before we get into the main video, I want to go over something extremely important with you, and it's how to turn New Zealand around. Well, here is something called the bell-shaped curve. That's the normal population spread of a country, say, for example. We have 3.6 million or thereabouts voters in this country. Well, down on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, there's a yellow triangle. Well, what's that? Well, that is 5% of the population, say. We won't say that's exactly 5%, but let's just say for the purposes of this video, it's 5%. Well, who is this group of people? It's the unconvertible people. What do I mean by that? Well, it's people like the Maori Party. They are entrenched in their ideas. They don't want democracy. They don't want everyone equal under the law. They don't want one government for all. They want a two-tiered society with special rights for Maori. They want a dual government model for New Zealand. They want to call the country Aotearoa. They want Maori to be the main language. They want the beaches and the water to belong to Maori. They want Maori wards and seats. They want Maori language and culture to dominate the schools. They want to take control of councils. They want to take control of all dockland. They rely on a very twisted understanding of the treaty to justify these aspirations and goals, and so on.
So all of this is what I call divisive, dangerous, and destructive. This is what the group on the far right-hand side bottom, that's what they stand for.
Well, on the other side, we have the other 5%. What's that? That is the converted people. They're exactly the opposite of the other 5%, the Maori Party end. Well, who's in this group? Stop Co-Governance, Hobson's Pledge, Democracy Action, NZCPR, that's Frank Newman and Muriel Newman, and so on. There's other groups in there. Well, what is this group? They too are entrenched in their ideas. Well, what do they want? They want to return to the original meaning and intent of the treaty. This is a really big one for this group. They want democracy. They want everyone equal under the law. They want one government for all. They don't want a two-tiered society with special rights for Maori. They don't want a dual government model for New Zealand. They want to call the country New Zealand, not Aotearoa. They want English to be the main language. They want the beaches and the water to belong to everyone. They don't want Maori wards and seats. It's unfair. It's undemocratic. They want councils to be controlled by people voted in. They want to stop Maori language and culture from being taught in schools to all students. They are adamant that schools are for teaching the basics like maths, reading and writing, and so on. Now, I call this group the common sense and the wise. So that is that group. Well, what are the others here? We have the 15% group here. That's sort of the peach-coloured section on this graph, on this curve. And who are these? Well, these are the people who are on the way to being converted, to being like the left-hand 5%. We could say that they are doing some reading, they're doing some watching, and they are learning. They're watching videos, they're reading articles, and they're learning. And they are moving slowly towards being awakened and converted to that 5% group on the left. Well, there's another group of 15%, and who are they? Well, they are on the way to being unconvertible. They're heading towards the Maori Party. They're being radicalized. But the good thing is they are still open to change. So there's 15% in that group. Well, what about this big middle group here? This is the 60%. Who are they? Well, there are people who are oblivious to political realities. They are apathetic. They are unawakened. And they are the people who are probably just busy with life and they don't know what's going on all around them, and they will not be seeing it and not be perceiving what is happening. That is the big 60% group. Now, my question is this to everybody who's watching this: where are you on this curve? Are you in the 5% already converted on the bottom left-hand side? Are you in the bottom right-hand side with the Maori Party and all they believe? Are you on the 15% on the way to being converted to the 5% on the left? Or are you on the 15% being on the way to being unconvertible and the Maori Party end? Or maybe you're just part of the 60% oblivious, apathetic, unawakened, busy with life group. Maybe somebody just sent you this video or one of our videos and you were browsing the internet randomly and you saw one of our videos and suddenly you're starting to thaw out, you're starting to become awakened, And hopefully you'll move into the 15% group who are on the way to being converted. You're watching and you're learning and you start reading, and then you become part of the converted group. So I want to know today, where are you? Are you on the 5% Maori Party end, or are you on the way to being unconvertible, or you're in the 60% or the 15% on the way, or are you well and truly already converted? I'd love to know. Try and assess where you're at. So let me just say this again, to turn New Zealand around is just a matter of reaching more Kiwis with a video on this channel. That's what it's about. The 60% apathetic, oblivious, unawakened Kiwis, they must be awakened. That's the large middle group in the bell-shaped curve. The more subscribers we have, the more YouTube posts our videos to more Kiwis for free. This is how it works. YouTube wants to work with us, but they need more subscribers. And they'll just go, look, we'll push this out to a lot more Kiwis for you. Just get subscribers. So that's what it's about. So just click on subscribe button on the bottom right hand corner of your screen and you'll be subscribed. It's as simple as that. Like I said, by subscribing you'll be telling YouTube to post our videos out to more unconverted Kiwis. Subscribing is free. You'll never be charged for anything. It's just that simple. So then watch our 5% grow. That's what we're trying to do. Our goal is to convert the yet to be converted 95%. See, if we don't get to these Kiwis, all these other Kiwis, then our country's going to be lost. We're going to lose it forever for your children, your grandchildren, and we'll become the Zimbabwe of the South Pacific. So help us. Work with YouTube, and we can do this. Thanks for listening, you guys. Thanks for watching. Well, hi, you beautiful New Zealanders. This video is called Now We Really Know Why Maori Opposed the Bill Part 2. So this follows on from Part 1. So what's in the box today in this video? This video clarifies why Maori opposed David Seymour's bill, and it makes their motives easy to understand. So watch. First, let's review what David Seymour's original 3 principles were: that the government has the right to govern all New Zealanders, that the government will honour all New Zealanders in the chieftainship of their land and all their property. Basically, that's the people who own property will be king of the castle and nobody can take their stuff from them. Number 3, that all New Zealanders are equal under the law with the same rights and duties. Pretty simple. We could summarise these 3 in this way: one government for all citizens, everyone's house, contents and land is secure, and everyone is to be treated equally. These are 3 of the most basic human rights. No one in the rest of the world would object to them except Maori. So this tells us that other factors are to play here. So what are these factors? Well, 2 important documents have come forth from Maoridom in the last 15 years, Hei Puapua and Mai Tiki Mai. In combination, these 2 documents make it clear that Maori want to be in complete control of the country by 2040. In the last video, I showed quotes from the Hei Puapua document which prove that this was a fact, not opinion. Alright, so total control by 2040 is what Maori are gunning for. So watch this.
In fact, if you go onto this website, it's called Mai Tiki Mai Aotearoa, and you scroll down, you get lots of detail about the vision for 2040 that Maori have for New Zealand, and then you come to this astounding thing, which is a countdown to 200 years since the signing of Te Tiriti, and they have this countdown clock going. There it is, clicking over at the end there. And it says shifting the constitutional arrangements of New Zealand. There it is. It's all in black and white. Do they want to shift the constitutional arrangement of New Zealand and become the government? There you go.
Okay, that's pretty clear, isn't it? So let's keep moving. This explains why Maori oppose Principle 1, that the government has the right to govern for all New Zealanders. They don't want to be under what they call a colonial government. Rather, they want to be the government by 2040, see? So they want to be sovereign. Watch.
United in their cause, flags flying high with a long journey ahead. Daylight struggling to cut through, but those gathered here hope their future will be much clearer.
This hiko is just a platform for more, for better, for a journey well beyond Parliament.
To send a signal to the whole world that we will keep marching until we get our sovereignty.
Okay, well there's a senior Maori leader, Honi Harawira, saying we'll keep marching until we get our sovereignty. Basically, that's the same as saying until we become the government of New Zealand. Yeah, there you go. So why do they oppose the second principle, that the government will honour all New Zealanders in the chieftainship of their land and all their property? Why would they be against that? Well, Maori don't want property rights tightened and locked down. Why? Because they want to all the land of New Zealand back. That's what they want. Really, this is a nonsense claim, since they sold 92% of their land fair and square to either settlers or to the Crown from 1840 onwards. See, there was a land sales commission set up by Governor Hobson in 1840, and there was a gentleman by the name of William Spain who investigated all the land sales between Maori and the Crown to make sure they were all legitimate. And, the net result of that is that 92% of land was sold by the chiefs legitimately to the Crown. So Maori have really nothing to go on, but anyway, this is what they believe. The more loose and lax property security is, the more the activists rejoice. Why? They can exploit the loopholes. That's what it's all about. You see, these are loopholes. They don't want property rights locked down. Watch. Well, what loopholes? As it stands through the RMA, that's the Resource Management Act, Maori can target any land in New Zealand by slapping a classification on that land. For example, WAHI TAPU, which is sacred Maori land. They've done that to my land. This is why I'm involved in all this. Another well-used classification is sites and areas of significance to Maori, or SASM. Recently, the whole area of GORE in New Zealand, 11,000 square kilometres, was classified as a SASM. Can you believe it? There is the article that was put out by Groundswell about that. I made a video on this, and I've put a link to it in the description of this video. You have to watch that video. Please watch it. There are many other ways Maori and bureaucrats inside government collude to shovel land into the hands of Maori. How so? Well, here's an example. The Waitangi Tribunal cannot give privately owned land back to Maori, only state-owned land. So how have they got around this? Well, the government, through woke bureaucrats inside the beehive, signed off by MPs, are buying privately owned farms and other land using our taxes and gifting it to Maori through settlements, you see. It's called land banking. Settlements, I've got to tell you, are the vehicle through which massive corruption is happening in this country. Just remember that. Are there other loopholes? Well, yes, there are. If any government land or assets fall into the category of surplus to requirements, they too are land banked and stored for settlements. So we could say that two types of land are being banked, earmarked for settlements. They are purchased land, and they are land and assets surplus to requirement. What I want us to understand is that so-called settlements are the main pipeline through which ownership of New Zealand is being transferred by increment from public ownership to Maori ownership. See what I'm saying? I'm saying that the vehicle that's being used to pump assets and land and cash from public ownership to Maori is what is settlements, these things, you see. So where is the proof that Crown land is being land banked to give to Maori? Well, here it is. Here they've actually produced a document, Protection of Maori Interest in Surplus Crown-Owned Land, and this is what it says. The protection mechanism described in this booklet is an important process for safeguarding Maori interest in property that government agencies and departments wish to sell. The protection mechanism gives Maori the opportunity to indicate what particular surplus properties are important to them and may be valued as part of a future settlement. Such properties may be purchased by the Office of Treaty Settlements and held in land bank until such time as they require them for the use in a settlement. So in other words, government is land banking all these properties and getting ready to give them to Maori through a settlement. See what I'm saying? It's all there. So this problem is multi-layered. It's very serious. You have the Waitangi Tribunal, which is stacked with activists literally contriving grievances and therefore inflating settlements. There are 60 full-time staff writing, quote, reports for MPs recommending settlements. MPs are too busy and too history ignorant to fact-check the recommendations of the tribunal. So what do? They take the advice of woke bureaucrats who've signed up to the Maori religion. In other words, people who are basically Maori activists inside the beehive. And what do? Well, they advise ministers to sign off on the settlements. And of course, you can see the problem. The ministers just sign off on the advice of their people all around them. So how big is this problem? Well, it's huge. It's absolutely massive, this problem of claims and settlements and grievances and corruption.
Ita Rawhiti, Maori Crown Relations Minister, how do you see the current state of Maori Crown relationships?
Well, first of all, there are two ministers involved with Te Arawhiti. Minister Goldsmith looks after the negotiations for treaty settlements, and Tapu Taimoana, customary foreshore seabed matters. And I look after a number of other things like events and making sure that some of the settlement obligations that are outstanding are implemented. And my view is that some things are going really well. For example, this week, we've got the first reading of the Ōrākau settlement legislation or Ōrākau arrangements, whereby the land at Ōrākau, very well-known battle site from the 1860s, is being returned in the name of the tupuna who fought there, and with the management arrangements with the Waikato Tainui, Ngāti Manipoto, Ngāti Raukawa. A couple of weeks ago, we had the Taranaki Maunga, first reading of the settlement arrangements for Taranaki Maunga. So I think some things are going really well. But I think there are also challenges that we've got in this litigation and other matters that are confronting us. So some things are going well, some things we need to work on a little bit more.
What are the things we need to work on?
Well, I can't really comment on the litigation, but it's well known, Waka2 and other matters. But the Māori Crown Relations portfolio is also responsible for implementing the settlement obligations that are outstanding, and there are over 10,000 of those outstanding, mainly with organisations and agencies such as Te Papa Atawhai, Department of Conservation, and LINZ, Land Information New Zealand. So that's one area where I've got a big focus with my team at Te Arawhiti, is to make sure we understand the gamut of responsibilities that come after treaty settlements are arranged and the legislation's gone through. Okay, what obligations do we have now? And there's a lot of work that we have to do in that space to make sure we follow through. And the Crown's obligations do not stop when a settlement arrangement is concluded. Actually, they continue over time, and that's the promise of Te Tiriti o Waitangi, the Treaty of Waitangi.
So there you have it, 10,000 claims. Man, 10,000 claims in the pipeline, and all of these centre on gifting land and assets to Maori. Notice Potaka says he can't comment on some claims, or why? Because if the public knew what was going on behind the scenes in Parliament, they would be absolutely horrified. That's the truth. Notice too, quote, obligations to Maori don't end when the settlements are signed off, unquote. What does that mean? Settlements are not actually settlements at all. There is nothing settled about a settlement. Claiming is never ending, and they write that into the settlements. Can you see how corrupt this is? So here's the corruption pipeline. Corrupt, opportunist Maori make up claims. Secondly, they get corrupt lawyers and researchers to prepare their claims, all expenses paid by the taxpayer. They've got no skin in the game. They just pay other people to do their work for them, these claimants. These claims are submitted to a corrupt Waitangi tribunal stacked with activists, more corruption. The Waitangi tribunal prepares settlements for the government to sign off on. Next step, busy history ignorant MPs can't fact check the details because they lack the knowledge. There's another huge big problem. MPs then hand the reports to woke bureaucrats who've converted to the Maori religion, because that's what it is, people who've signed up to this. And then the next step is, naturally, these bureaucrats recommend MPs sign off on the settlements because it's going to be boom times for Maori. See, they're just wanting to, these bureaucrats are wanting to shovel cash and assets and land to Maori. What happens next? The MPs take their advice, approve the settlement, and another settlement goes through, and we lose more land and more assets and more cash. That's how it is. Listen to this. This is an interview between Dr. Michael Bassett and Michael Laws. Bassett was a member of the tribunal for 10 years, so knows its inner workings better than anybody. And he just says, well, you listen to what he says.
I mean, this is all part of an invention that is going on. Radical Maori have gotten away with murder over the last 20 or so years. I mean, if they've just made up what the Waitangi Tribunal's job is. In fact, it's set out quite clearly in law.
So really what I want you to do is I'm going to leave a link to that interview, the full interview between Michael Bassett and Michael Laws, and I'd like you to get the rest of that. Because it's hugely significant and very, very good to listen to. So please watch that. All right, let's keep moving. So Michael Bassett says the Waitangi Tribunal has gotten away with murder over the last 20 years. He's onto it, you see, and he's a former tribunal member. He knows what's going on. All right, so these are just some of the loopholes being exploited by Maori, the Minister of Development Potaka, and other government officials. MPs are either oblivious or, worse still, complicit. Luxon especially, like, why are they allowing this to keep going? Luxon knows about this, Potaka knows about it, Goldsmith knows about it, but they're doing nothing. In other words, These loopholes explain why Maori so bitterly oppose Seymour's second principle. There is a second principle that the government will honour all New Zealanders in the chieftainship of their land and all their property. You know what? The truth is Maori do not want property rights locked down and all these loopholes closed. They want to keep the land and assets flowing. See? That's what they want. Keep it going, keep it flowing. See? Well, what about David Seymour's principle number 3, that all New Zealanders are equal under the law with the same rights and duties? Why would Maori oppose this basic human right? The answer is because Maori need the special privileges and special handouts they receive to fund the takeover. You get it? You join the dots. For example, in 2024 budget, Maori received $800 million. Well, if Maori were equal citizens with all the other 159 cultures in this country, they could not and would not be singled out for such a huge sum of money. For equality to be realised, all the other cultures would need to receive $800 million too. Wouldn't that be equality? Of course it would. We've all got to be the same privileges, same handouts for everybody. But no, Maori are getting them, see? Many Maori leaders are quite open in their view that Maori are not equal before the law with other citizens. They're superior. So watch this.
Talk about some of them. ACT wants to rewrite the treaty principles. The principles is established by judges, politicians, lawyers, etc. are basically partnership, participation and protection. David Seymour, the ACT leader, says he wants to give the public a say. What is wrong with that in your view?
Yeah, well, he can look. The document is about a partnership. The treaty is about partnerships. All right, Maori and the Crown. Simple as that. You can't give the same rights to an immigrant to this country that has been long entrenched, not only in law but in our history since 1840. So while Seymour tries to...
Let's unpack that for a second. Sorry, because you drifted off, but what I heard was you can't give the same rights to an immigrant to New Zealand as opposed to someone who's Indigenous to New Zealand. Is that what you're saying?
No, because what Seymour was saying is that actually every other New Zealander has the same rights as Maori.
Yes,
that's a nonsense.
Wow, did you hear that? So that's a nonsense. Morgan says you can't give immigrants the same rights as Maori. Morgan's contradicting himself because Maori were immigrants. They came here from somewhere else. Nonetheless, Tuku believes Maori deserve special rights. They're a superior race of people. Oh my goodness. Tuku, representing Maori, hates equality. Here are some of the reasons why. The government announced 12 new high protection areas in Auckland's Hauraki Gulf to protect and restore marine ecosystems, while still allowing only Maori to fish in them. These are some of the privileges and entitlements Maori are getting. They are not marine reserves, they're race-based exclusive fishing zones. Number 4, Te Whara Ora is using taxpayer money for Maori and Pacific of any age, that's only Maori and Pacific ethnicity, to receive free advice and management, including free medicines at pharmacies for certain conditions. So why would Maori accept equality when inequality is paying them so handsomely? See, that's the issue. Here's another one. Reduced or removed rates for Maori landowners under the Local Government Amendment Act 2021. They write off rates owing by Maori. Councils remove rates altogether for land owned but not developed. C. Reduce any remaining rates. Here's another one. The new $26 million visitor centre at Punakaiki Rocks gives to local iwi who then charge for entry. So we, the taxpayer, built this Punakaiki visitor centre, and then the government gave it to Maori and they charge us for entering. So we pay twice. Can you believe that's happening? New guidelines from Farm Act reveal that Maori are the priority population. That's what they say. Essentially, those with Maori ethnicity will now be guaranteed priority treatment ahead of those with greater health needs. Come on, when you think about this, why would Maori accept equality when inequality is paying so handsomely? Look what they're getting. Here's some more. Iwi allowed their own justice system, which often does not go in the victim's favour and gives lenient outcomes for offenders. So Maori start getting let off crime. Auckland surgeons, here's another one. Auckland surgeons must now consider ethnicity in prioritising patients for operations, giving priority to Maori and Pacific Island patients. contrary to the Human Rights Act, I might add, in 1993. Since May 2023, only Maori and Pacifica are allowed to get GP referrals for free counselling. My goodness. New Zealand's Health Strategy 2023 should be equally about all New Zealanders, but focuses on inequity for Maori, see? That's the document called the New Zealand Health Strategy 2023. Maori or iwi are mentioned 169 times, while Europeans are mentioned 4 times. We'll get that. Again, I say, why would Maori accept equality when inequality is paying so handsomely? You know what? The government is actually creating a monster here. By giving Maori settlements and handouts and entitlements, they are creating an absolute monster. And on it goes. In the description of this video, there is an excellent summary of much of the race-based funding, the privilege afforded Maori but not to anybody else. Please take time to read this document. That's what it looks like. So please take a bit of time to read that. It's really eye-opening. So here's a summary. New Zealand is now an apartheid state. No doubt about that. We're heading for Zimbabwe and South Africa. Many non-Maori, including politicians, we just got used to it, that we're now living in an apartheid state. Where are all the protests? Where's all the bleating from us saying, hey, you know what, apartheid's wrong? Maori have got so used to privilege, I'll say it again, that equality to them is now seen as discrimination. As Thomas Sowell said, when people get used to preferential treatment, equal treatment seems like discrimination. Isn't that the truth? No wonder Maori hate Seymour's bill. Come on, you can see why now. But that's not the main reason Maori don't want equality. So what's the main reason? The answer is they need funds to finance their march towards total control of New Zealand by 2020. They need the money for this takeover. The government is literally paying Maori to take over our country. Now, I just want you to meditate on that just for a couple of minutes. I'll say it again. The government is literally paying Maori to take over our country. And this has been going on for 50 years with 10,000 claims in the pipeline. The amount of land, assets and cash being paid out to Maori is set to escalate significantly. You know what? It won't be long before there's nothing left to give. Maori own the whole lot. Yep, everything. Ironically, this is the Maori plan for 2040. See how it's happening? This is all happening under the watch of 3 key MPs in the national government, Luxon, Goldsmith and Potaka. And ultimately, Luxon is responsible. That they are doing nothing to stop it indicates strongly that they are themselves activists, these 3. Now here is the main issue. All 3 of David Seymour's principles are mandated in the treaty and all the Maori demands are not. That's the issue. The treaty preamble gave the British the right to govern. Article 2 in the treaty gave property security rights to Maori and to all New Zealanders. Article 3 in the treaty gave Maori equality with all other British citizens. Conclusion, if Seymour's bill became law, it would honour the treaty. That's the facts. Essentially, if Maori were treated equally, the gravy train would come to a screaming halt. So Maori spend a lot of time and energy fighting to stop them being made equal before the law with everyone else. Hikois, threats, bullying, hakas, well, and so on, you name it. They've thrown the kitchen sink at New Zealanders. So here is a summary of why Maori opposed David's bill, what Seymour's bill says, what the real reason Maori oppose it, and does Seymour's principle honour the treaty? Well, the first principle says that the government has the right to govern all New Zealanders. The reason Maori oppose it, Maori don't want a government, they want to be the government. Does Seymour's principle honour the treaty? Yes. Number 2, that the government will honour all New Zealanders and the chieftainship of their land and all their property. The reason Maori oppose it, Maori want property security lax and loose so they can exploit loopholes in order to acquire property. Does Seymour's principle honour the treaty? Yes. Number 3, that all New Zealanders are equal under the law with the same rights and duties. The real reason Maori oppose it, they need cash and asset injections which come from privilege to fund their goal to be in control of New Zealand by 2040. Does Seymour's third principle honour the treaty? Yes. Honesty, here's a key thing. Essentially, Maori are being grossly dishonest about why they oppose David's bill. It's not about tēnā rangatiratanga, taonga, self-determination, honouring the treaty, kāwanatanga, denying Maori rights mandated in the treaty, or anything else. It's none of those things, but they say that's what it's all about. Well, they're being dishonest. It's about none of those things. These are all just smoke screens. It's about Maori wanting total control of the country by 2040, and that's what it's about.
Okay guys, that's enough for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Now we need your help with something. This is important. We have produced some great flyers and brochures which we want to get into the hands of all New Zealanders. So we need to go around the mainstream media. They're not going to help. In fact, they're making things a lot worse. So we have to go around them. And we need your help to make this happen. We can't do this without you. So what are we talking about? First, there is our business cards. They're only 3 cents each plus courier to get them to you. Then there is our latest booklet called The Psychology of Takeover, 19 strategies Maori activists are using to take over the country. It's 80 pages and packs a huge punch. So they're cheap, they're $3, and they're absolutely fantastic if you want to get a handle on what's actually happening in New Zealand. Then we have a few thousand of our original Stop Co-Governance booklets left over from my tour in 2023. Remember these? You'll remember we printed 550,000 of these. Well, these are now free because we realized that only about a third of New Zealand houses got this booklet last when I did my tour, and so we want to get to the other 2/3. So if you do a few streets around where you live, that would be absolutely phenomenal, and they are free now. Then we have our MACA, that's Marine and Coastal Act brochure 2, which alert people to the loss of our beaches. You know, we're in danger of losing all the beaches around New Zealand. The text is written by Graham Adams, who's a great author. These are now free. And then we have our beautiful bumper sticker, which we've just made. And why are we doing this? Well, New Zealand's identity is under threat. We know that. First activists have and are still trying to change the name of New Zealand to Aotearoa. We don't want that. We must oppose this. This is rubbish. Where's the referendum saying that we want to change the name of the country? There was none. It was just forced on us. Second, Maori sovereignty flags are appearing more and more all over the place, and they're just treason. So we've got to get these bumper stickers out. So we've printed some awesome bumper stickers. They're $3 each, and they measure 21.5 by 6.5, so you can see how big that would be on your car. To get any of these free products, all you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. For the products that cost something, like the bumper stickers or the little psychology booklet, it's the cost plus the courier to get them to you. So to order any of these products, just use this email address, cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi, and we'd love to hear from you. Finally, if you want to access all the videos we've ever made, including all our most viewed and most popular videos, and have them all in one place, which is what people are asking for, then just type in this address into your browser. There it is there, https www.youtube.com/@stopcogovernance, and you'll find it goes straight to our channel. Then what you do is save this address to your computer as a favorite. Job done. Well done. Then you've got them all in one place forever. And all the new ones that are coming in get placed into that address, so you won't miss anything. Okay, last thing, please, oh please, don't forget to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll get the latest videos straight into your inbox. You'll never miss a video, which is great. You'll link up with like-minded people all over New Zealand, and that's very, very stimulating to have meet up with all these people who think like you. You'll be telling YouTube, I like these videos, and they will respond by advertising our videos to more Kiwis for free. It's incredible what they do, but it just relies on you replying to comments and making comments and liking things and sharing things and activity. That's what it is. It's just activity on our channel. And turning New Zealand around is simply a matter of reaching more Kiwis with the truth. So just click on the subscribe button on the bottom right hand side of your screen. There, the little yellow arrow is showing you where it is, and you'll be subscribed. Okay, see you next time. You guys are awesome.